Okay, so here's what I've got on the revised setup for mounts and stuff. All of these towers that are poking through the top, um, these are all going to get trimmed down and then blended in smoothly as like gussets into the back of this housing. So they're not going to look like this, obviously, but this is just kind of how I'm mapping out the mounts. I drew these in Fusion, so they're like the hole is a hole type stuff instead of like having to try to make a round hole in Blender is kind of a pain. Um, yeah, so basically these are going to be blended into the housing so they look better and they'll be gusseted. And then I need to make sure I'm trying to get these so they'll grab and hold on to the head of a bolt and not let the bolt spin. Because for it to gusset very well, obviously you're not going to be able to get a wrench in there. So I'm going to just upload some bolt CAD files from McMaster Car for whatever this standard like size hole. All the holes are based off of the bolts that came with this, like the fancy schmancy headlight. Um, so I'll probably just use that just in whatever different lengths. But anyway, and then basically the headlight mounts, you can see through the side of this one, it's got relief for the headlight to tilt, and then this slot. I'm not sure what they intended this hole to be used for, but if you end up needing adjustment, or to lock it in to an angle. This is at zero position because it's right dead center, but I give you 15 degrees. So this slot all the way to the left will be down 15, and then all the way to the right will be up 15 degrees from zero. And then this one has the ability to do that as well. Uh, so the mounts for this light are kind of weird because it only has the two bolts on the side, but this light has this is it's not shown on this because I modeled this to like sort of quickly represent the shape, but there's a little like screw slash bolt thing on the bottom and it's sealed with an O-ring and I'm not really sure what it does. But I figured we can just replace that with a longer bolt and seal it. And then I was probably going to give you a little relief here for a washer or a flange bolt or something so it grabs onto something kind of below the surface a little bit and hopefully grab a little bit better. Um, but yeah, anyway, so the mounts for here, there's a bolt in either side of the light, kind of like they're not center with the light even, which is annoying. I just had to go remeasure all that. But either way, bolt on left or right. And then this will be for the adjustment on this light, the slot here. Um, Probably more than you need. But if we get somewhere where you know where you need the lights pointed based on the adjustment you have, then we can always just reprint, a small part that'll be like more permanent so it won't like come out of adjustment or anything like that if it ends up being a problem. But basically, these are set up to be mounts for the lights, these deals here. And those, instead of bolting directly to the housing, they're going to bolt onto this plate. This plate first, I figured we'd just print it, but it'll be totally flat, so you don't have to worry about having it bent or anything too if you want to have this punched out of metal. Or if you just want me to print this out on a piece of paper in the right size, then you could just, I mean, if it's a matter of just drilling holes and shit, like that'll be pretty simple for you to figure out, obviously. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. The headlight doesn't have the flange for the lens yet, but that's kind of just off so it's easier to see. I need to come through and punch out the holes for the switchbacks. But if you're cool with this plate will get trimmed down too. It won't like it'll only come as far forward as I actually have a mount. Like here's one here that's backwards. You'd like have to drop the bolt in from this side, but this plate needs trimmed. I'm just gonna trim it to wherever I need to reach the mounts, and then kind of cut the rest of the excess off. Um, but again, these big blocky like columns obviously won't be poking through the top of the headlight, but they're gonna be blended in to this back housing here in places to make it stronger, and then hopefully that'll also help these mounts not breaking off because these are going to be molded solid into the back of the housing. So if you have an issue with one of those, then it's going to be kind of a pain. Um, but worst case, we could just sand them off and I could print another one. We can glue it on instead of before. If one of the mounts broke or wasn't the right size or something, we'd be reprinting the whole stupid housing again. So I figured this was better. Um, let me know your thoughts on that. Um, but with these around the edge, I was curious to see. This is probably too thick for the metal like I forgot what they're called. They're like the little metal clip-on nut things just to give you threads. I can still do that. This is probably a little bit thick, but I wanted to know if you still wanted me to do that or if you wanted to just tie that into these bolts here. So it'd be the housing bolting to this plate, and then I mean we could just use a longer bolt and tie that into tabs for mounting it to the car. I don't know if you want those separate or if that would work for you. Um, I kind of was planning on doing the little nut insert things until I thought about it a second ago, and I was like, I mean, we could just use these um, to tie all three things together. So that housing to the plate to the car. Um, oh yeah, one last thing. These I don't have like adjusters or anything like that. For the first run, I figured we would just so for this to tilt up and down 15 degrees and still be centered in the hole, this mount's going to have to go up and down. It's actually about 9 millimeters. Each mount has to go up to keep. So if you were to tilt this all the way 15 degrees down, this mount needs to go up 15 degrees to keep like the presentation through the front of the lens to be still center ish. Um, so I figured just for the first go around, or I mean, it might just work for however long, just shim it with rubber washers and kind of, I mean, that's easy enough to shim. It'll look kind of jank, but again, if we get these locked in where we know the exact height, I can just shorten this mount and print it so it's locked in and does it just take that amount of adjustment out of it. Or if we want to figure something else out. Only other thing, I thought about if we do another version of these mounts when we know the exact angle, and you might just need like a little bit, like plus or minus like 3 to 5 degrees. I found a bolt that actually goes into here, like how you were talking for an adjuster. So I could have a long bolt with the threads out poking this way, and then you'd actually have like some sort of actual adjustment. It'd actually be pretty cool to set up like a electronic adjuster too, so you can have them, like point down electronically. I don't know how for sure we would do that, but now if we go to mess with that, it can all just be attached to this mount here, and then the rest of it can stay the same. So you can do that pretty easily as a side project now if we wanted to mess with something like that. And then your electrical wires, because remember this light's actually flipped upside down from how it's intended to be used. Um, but shoot, that actually reminds me. Oh no, okay. I was worried because the beam actually points like sharply down on one of them. Whoops, what did I just do? It's the inside one that would literally just shoot the light up into the sky. This one, like at 0 degrees, the smaller inside light um, doesn't really like the beam doesn't shape upwards at all. It's kind of like either straightforward or down. And then this one, since it's technically a high beam, which is not what we wanted to run, um, this one's just like a laser beam that goes pretty much straight forward. There's not really a whole lot of up or down. Um, this one will probably be the one you need more adjustment in for that reason as well. But that's why I wanted to make sure I gave it to you. Um, but yeah, the other thing I was going to add to this mount, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we could do, but obviously both of these are like air cooled, so I don't know if we're going to end up needing to add like little computer fans or something back here to blow air through them. But they're also not going to be like closed off to air because they'll be in your. I mean, you might, I guess, but I figured for time being they're going to be in your wheel well, so they should get plenty of airflow. Um, but I was going to give you a little shield for this is where your plug will come out. I thought about giving you a little shield because I know your wheels are going to be coming in here, and I'm going to round as much as I can. I'm going to round this plate off just to keep it as far away as possible from your wheel. But if you look straight down on the light, everything's still inside of the headlight, which is good. But yeah, so if we need to add a fan or something, I could do that specifically on this mount instead of having to do the entire housing, which is also a plus. But I was going to give you a little like cable run to take your wiring and like kind of fold it. I'm making the motion with my hand, which is ridiculous because I'm recording a video on my computer and you can't see my hand. Stupid. But yeah, just a cable run to tie your or to pull your wiring up tight so it's kind of less likely to get ripped off by your wheel. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff. But that's kind of where I'm at. Let me know mainly on these mounts if you think this will be sufficient to mount them to the car as well, or if you want separate spots for um, the little nut cert things like we were talking about. And then the other thing is you're probably going to want some bolts towards the front of these, which I haven't figured out yet. These are going to be most like this block here is going to be mostly cut out when I punch the backs of these holes out. So it's actually going to be kind of hard to give you a mounting tab too much further up the light. Um, Let me know if that's something I need to figure out. I don't know. I'm sure we can figure something out if we need to, but either way, wanted to show you kind of where I was. I think this will work a lot better, especially because most of this stuff printing will be convenient just to prototype it. But once we kind of know everything fits and know more specifically where your lights are going to need to be adjusted, I've seen you make way more complicated stuff than this just on your table by your drill press and a little, bench vise. So that'll be cool. This will also be all like everything about this would be better just in metal anyway. Seeing as the housing will be 3D printed, being screwed down to something that's metal will make the whole thing a lot more legit. But anyway, sorry for another kind of long video, but I wanted to give you an update on kind of where I was at and see what you thought. All right, man, let me know.